The galaxy laughed when Earth was marked as a death world. They laughed at our storms, at our gravity, at the way our oceans tried to drown us and our deserts tried to burn us. They laughed when human soldiers arrived wearing armor that looked too heavy, carrying rifles too crude, with faces too calm for creatures who were supposed to be primitive. Then the war came to Charon 9, a planet so vicious that even the conquering empires refused to land there. A world of acid rain, razor wind, carnivorous fog, and nights cold enough to split alien bones. The galaxy sent humanity there to die. Instead, the humans dug in. And by the time the storms cleared, the empires were no longer laughing. Captain Elias Ward heard the laughter before he ever saw the aliens. It came through the translator grill in the ceiling of the tribunal chamber, thin and musical, like glass beads shaken in a cup. The sound bounced off black stone walls and vanished into the open dome above, where 3 moons hung over the capital world of the Veyr Dominion. Elias stood in the center of a silver circle, wrists bound by magnetic cuffs, uniform torn at the shoulder, dried blood dark across his collar. He had been awake for 31 hours. He had not eaten in 2 days. His left knee hurt every time he shifted weight. But he did not lower his eyes. Around him, 7 alien delegates reclined on floating seats shaped like curved shells. Their bodies differed in limb, scale, plume, and eye, but all of them shared the same expression once the translator flattened it into meaning. Amusement, not fear, not hatred, amusement. A Velkari admiral unfolded himself from his throne at the center. He was tall and narrow, wrapped in blue ceremonial armor. 4 arms rested against his ribs. His face was a pale mask split by vertical gills. "Captain Elias Ward of the Terran Expeditionary Defense Force," the admiral said. "Your species has been found guilty of refusing Imperial protection, resisting resource integration, and damaging Dominion military property." Elias glanced at the scorched plates in the admiral's armor. "I damaged more than property." The laughter returned. A Zalan merchant prince clicked his mandibles. "Deathworld arrogance. Charming." The admiral tilted his head. "You misunderstand your position, human. Earth is tolerated because your world is geologically useful and your people are physically durable. You are not strategic. You are not cultured. You are not dangerous in any way that matters." Elias said nothing. He had learned long ago that men who needed to be feared spoke too much. The admiral continued. "Your colonies will be seized. Your fleet will be disarmed. Your military officers will be dispersed across labor zones. As for you, Captain Ward, you will be delivered to Charon 9 with the rest of your battalion." One of the delegates made a soft hissing sound. Even through the translator, Elias recognized surprise. Charon 9 had a reputation. Every species in the chamber knew it. A failed mining world on the edge of Dominion space. Heavy gravity, toxic atmosphere, electromagnetic storms, a night cycle that froze surface water into black glass, predators that hunted by vibration, fungal swarms that stripped metal and flesh alike. It was not a prison, it was a grave. The admiral's gills opened in satisfaction. "You'll survive, perhaps, for a short time, long enough to understand the mercy you refused." Elias looked up at the alien empire that had burned 3 Terran outposts and called it order. He thought of his brother Daniel, who had died under a white phosphorus sky on New Carthage, while Elias was still 10 kilometers away, pinned in a trench, listening to the screams over comms. He thought of the last message Daniel had sent. "Don't let them make us kneel." Elias lifted his bound hands as far as the cuffs allowed. "You're sending soldiers to a hostile environment with limited oversight." The admiral blinked. "That is your concern." Elias smiled for the first time. It was small, tired, not friendly. "No," he said, "that's yours." The laughter stopped. 2 days later, the transport ship dropped through Charon 9's upper atmosphere like a coffin thrown into a furnace. Private Jonah Briggs vomited into his helmet before they hit the first storm band. "Sorry," he groaned over the squad channel. "Sorry, Captain. I'm good. I'm fine. This is fine." Sergeant Mara Voss strapped herself tighter into the crash seat across from him. She was broad-shouldered, scarred down one cheek, with silver hair shaved close to the skull. "Briggs, if you drown in your own breakfast before the Dominion gets a shot at you, I will request a transfer to a smarter species." Briggs swallowed hard. "Yes, Sergeant," the transport screamed. Around them, 218 human prisoners sat in rows beneath red emergency lights. Soldiers, engineers, medics, mechanics, a handful of civilian colonists caught in the sweeps. No weapons, no heavy armor, no rations beyond 3 days. The Dominion guards had not bothered to secure them heavily. They wore sealed exosuits and carried stun lances, confident that exhausted human prisoners posed little threat inside a falling ship over a dead planet. Elias watched the guards instead of the storm. There were 12. 4 near the forward bulkhead, 6 in the center aisle, 2 at the rear door. Their armor joints were flexible at the inner elbow and throat, their visors polarized under bright flashes. They relied on lances set for pain, not killing. That told him something. The Dominion still did not believe humans were enemies, only animals to be moved. Across the aisle, Dr. Naomi Chen met his gaze. She was not military. She had been chief xenobiologist on Ganymede Station before the Dominion took it. She wore a prisoner coat too large for her and held a compact medical kit against her chest like a shield. Her dark eyes moved from Elias to the guards, then back again. She shook her head once. Not yet. He looked away. The ship dropped hard. Metal screamed. A guard near the center slammed into a support rail. His lance clattered from one hand. Mara Voss saw it too. Her lips barely moved. "Captain!" Elias closed his eyes and listened. The engines pulsed unevenly. The storm battered the hull. The guards shifted for balance. Not yet. The transport's intercom crackled with a Valkyrie voice. "Brace for atmospheric landing. Surface conditions lethal. Prisoners will remain seated until ordered." A bright flash filled the cabin. For half a second, every alien visor went black. Elias moved. He ripped his magnetic cuffs down against the edge of his seat harness, twisting his wrists at the same time. Skin tore. Bones scraped. The left cuff slipped enough to free his thumb. Mara was already out of her restraints. She hit the nearest guard like a dropped engine block. The Valkyrie folded with a wet crack. Briggs screamed something that might have been courage or terror and tackled another guard at the knees. The cabin erupted. Humans surged from seats. Stun lances fired blue arcs. Men and women convulsed, fell, and were stepped over by others still moving forward. Elias caught a lance across the ribs. Pain burned white through his body, his muscles locked. For one terrible second, he was back on New Carthage, pinned under collapsed plating, listening to Daniel call his name through static. Then Mara's fist came over his shoulder and crushed the guard's throat seal. Air hissed. The Valkyrie panicked. Elias grabbed the lance, reversed it, and drove the charged end into the alien's visor. The transport hit the ground. Everything became impact. The world turned sideways. Seats tore loose. Bodies flew. The hull buckled with a sound like a church bell struck by God. Elias woke to cold. Not ordinary cold. A deep, hateful cold that reached through torn metal, through prison cloth, through skin, and seemed to clamp directly around the bones. His mouth tasted of copper. Red emergency lights flickered in the crashed cabin. Half the ceiling had collapsed. A jagged split in the hull showed a sky the color of old bruises. Wind screamed through the gap. Something green and wet hissed when it touched exposed wiring. Acid rain. Elias pushed himself up. His ribs flared with pain. "Mara!" he rasped. "Here!" She crawled from beneath a fallen seat, dragging Briggs by the collar. Briggs was alive, pale, bleeding from the scalp, still breathing. Dr. Chen knelt beside a young corporal whose leg ended below the knee in a crushed mess of bone and fabric. She worked without looking up. "I need heat," she said. "Clean bandages, pressure." "There are no clean bandages," someone said. "Then give me dirty ones and pray faster." Elias stood, swayed, and caught a support strut. Through the hole in the hull, he saw Charon 9. The planet was worse than its reputation. The transport had come down in a valley of black stone ridges. Ash-colored trees twisted from the ground like broken fingers. Pools of amber liquid steamed between them. The rain fell in slanted sheets, each drop smoking where it touched metal. Far above, thunder rolled inside clouds that glowed faintly red from internal lightning. The air outside the wreck shimmered. A Dominion guard stumbled near the rear hatch, armor cracked, one hand clutching a rifle. Mara raised a stolen lance. The guard froze. Elias stepped toward him. "What is your name?" the alien's translator sputtered. "Officer Veth, Dominion Correction Division. You are all in violation of..." Mara struck him in the back of the head with the butt of the lance. He dropped. Elias looked at her. Mara shrugged. He was boring me. Elias took the rifle and checked its charge. 32 shots. Not enough. The surviving humans gathered in the broken transport. 164 were alive. 30 were badly injured. The rest were silent under blankets or pieces of insulation. No one said the word dead. Not yet. Elias climbed onto a cracked storage crate so they could see him. The wind tore at his voice, even inside the wreck. "Listen to me. The Dominion expects this planet to kill us. They expect us to freeze, starve, panic, and beg. That gives us one advantage." He looked from face to face. Old soldiers, young recruits, frightened colonists, bleeding mechanics. A cook from the prison ship still holding a snapped pipe like a club. "They won't come down here in force unless they have to." A woman near the back shouted, "And what do we do? Live in this wreck until the rain melts us?" "No," Elias said. "We turn this wreck into a fort. We strip everything useful, we find water, we build heat, we scout, we survive the first night." Briggs wiped blood from his eyes. "And after that?" Elias looked out at the hellish valley. "After that," he said, "we make them regret leaving us alive." The first night on Charon 9 killed 14 people. Not from enemy fire, not from monsters, from cold, shock, and lungs burned by vapor that leaked through bad seals. The humans worked until their hands cracked and bled. They tore insulation from the ship's walls and packed it into gaps. They dragged cargo plates into barricades. Engineers rewired emergency cells into heating loops. Medics sorted the wounded by who could be saved and who would die no matter what they did. Elias helped carry bodies to the rear compartment where the temperature stayed below freezing. He paused over a man named Luis Ortega, a communications tech who had repaired radios on 3 colonies and once cheated Elias at cards with such obvious joy that no one had been angry. Ortega's eyes were half open. His fingers were still curled around a broken transmitter. Mara came up beside Elias, breathing hard. "We can't bury them," she said. "Ground's too acidic, too cold." "I know. We can't carry them either." "I know." She was quiet for a moment. "Captain." He looked at her. Mara's voice softened. "This isn't New Carthage." The words hit harder than the cold. Elias looked away. "I left men behind there. You were ordered to withdraw. My brother was still alive. For 7 minutes, Mara said. You told me that yourself. I should have gotten to him. You would have died halfway across the trench. Then he wouldn't have died alone." Mara said nothing. Outside, something howled across the valley. It was low and long and full of hunger. Every conversation stopped. The sound came again, closer. Briggs whispered, "Please tell me that's wind." Dr. Chen looked up from a blood-stained blanket. "The wind doesn't inhale. They killed the lights." The wreck settled into darkness broken by the dull red glow of emergency strips. Elias crouched near the hull breach with Mara, Briggs, and 6 others carrying stolen Dominion weapons and improvised spears. Rain hissed outside. The howling stopped. That was worse. A scraping sound moved across the hull, slow, patient. Metal flexed above them. Briggs's breathing grew fast over the open comm bead. Mara reached out and squeezed his shoulder once. The scraping shifted toward the breach. Something slid into view. It had too many legs. Its body was long and armored in overlapping black plates slick with acid rain. Its head opened in 4 directions, revealing pale tendrils that tasted the air. No eyes, no nostrils, only a ring of needle teeth and a throat that pulsed with heat. It paused at the opening. Elias did not fire. The creature tapped one bladed limb against the deck. Once, twice, a vibration hunter. It was listening through the floor. Behind Elias, someone whimpered. The creature snapped toward the sound. Elias fired the Dominion rifle into its open mouth. The blast lit the cabin blue white. The creature screamed and surged through the breach. Mara struck its front legs with a metal beam. Briggs fired 3 shots that punched glowing holes through its side. The thing kept coming, thrashing, ripping seats apart, acid blood spraying the walls. A young soldier named Batel fell beneath it. Elias lunged forward, grabbed Batel's harness, and pulled. The creature's jaws snapped shut inches from his hand. "Back!" Elias shouted. Dr. Chen threw a ruptured battery cell. It hit the creature's wounded mouth and burst into sparks. The alien predator convulsed. Mara drove a spear made from landing strut through the soft underside of its head. It thrashed once, twice, then collapsed. Silence followed. Everyone stared at the corpse steaming on the deck. Briggs laughed once, a broken sound. "Hell world," he said. "They call Earth a death world. This place makes Australia look polite." Dr. Chen knelt beside the creature, eyes sharp despite exhaustion. Elias stared at her. "Doctor?" She touched the acid-slick armor with a metal probe. "This thing hunts by vibration and heat. Can we eat it?" She blinked. "That is not the first scientific question I would ask. It is the first human question." She looked at the corpse again. "Maybe. If we cut around the glands, boil it twice, test it on someone reckless." Mara pointed at Briggs. Briggs raised both hands. "I object to being volunteered as the battalion raccoon." For the first time since the crash, people laughed, quietly, briefly, but it mattered. At dawn, if the dim red smear behind the clouds could be called dawn, Elias led the first scouting party outside. They wore patched environmental suits from the wreck and carried weapons wrapped in insulation to keep the acid from eating the mechanisms. The gravity pulled at every step. Charon 9 was nearly 1.4 Earth standard. Not impossible, just cruel. To the Velkari, it was crippling. To humans, it felt like carrying a full pack uphill. Miserable, familiar. They moved through black stone ravines while rain smoked off their shoulders. Dr. Chen walked with them, sensor unit held close. Mara took point. Briggs trailed behind with a coil of cable and a portable beacon. After 2 hours, they found the Dominion observation post. It stood on a ridge 2 kilometers from the crash site, half buried in rock, coated in anti-corrosion foam. A narrow antenna mast pointed toward orbit. Heat vents glowed faint orange. Mara crouched behind a stone outcrop, thought they weren't coming down. Elias studied the structure. They didn't. Automated relay, maybe a few overseers. Briggs adjusted the cracked binocular lens. I count 2 guards at the exterior lock. Only 2? Mara said. They figured the planet was the prison, Elias said. Dr. Chen's scanner clicked rapidly. She frowned. What? There's a signal coming from inside. Human band, weak, repeating. Elias turned to her. Human? She nodded. Old emergency format. His chest tightened. Play it. Static hissed. Then a voice emerged. Thin, distorted, but human. This is Lieutenant Amara Vale, Terran Navy. If anyone can hear this, do not trust the Dominion casualty reports. There are prisoners alive in Substation 7. Repeat, prisoners alive. They are using us as bait. The message looped. Mara whispered a curse. Briggs stared at the ridge. There are more of us? Elias felt the war tilt beneath his feet. The Dominion had not just dumped them here. It had staged them. Bait for what? He looked at the relay post, then at the storm clouds above. We take it. They hit the station during a thunder roll. Mara cut through the outer sensor cable with an acid-pitted blade. Briggs crawled under the antenna housing and jammed a stripped power cell into the junction box. The lights flickered. The 2 Velkari guards turned. Elias and Mara crossed the open ground fast. The first guard raised his rifle too late. Elias tackled him against the hatch, driving a knife through the soft seam under the arm. Mara caught the second by the helmet and slammed his head into the rock until the visor cracked. They breached the station. Inside, warm, dry air hit Elias's face like memory. The station smelled of metal, chemicals, and alien antiseptic. A Velkari technician reached for an alarm panel. Dr. Chen shot him with a stun lance. He dropped, twitching. Briggs looked at her. She said, I said I was a doctor. I didn't say I was harmless. They found the transmission room behind a sealed inner door. And there, strapped to a Dominion medical frame, was Lieutenant Amara Vale. She was thin to the edge of death. Her hair had been shaved away around neural ports. One arm was missing below the elbow. Electrodes crawled across her skull like black insects, but her eyes opened when Elias cut the restraints. She focused on his face. Human, she whispered. Captain Elias Ward, can you stand? No. Good. Honest answer. She tried to smile and failed. Dr. Chen moved in, scanning her vitals. Vale grabbed Elias's sleeve with her remaining hand. Listen, she rasped. They didn't put you here to die. We figured that out. No, you don't understand. They need humans on Charon 9. Elias leaned closer. Why? Her breathing hitched. Because the planet is waking up. Below the station, in encrypted Dominion archives, they found the truth. Charon 9 was not a failed mining world. It was a sealed battlefield. 3 centuries earlier, the Dominion had fought something beneath the planet's crust. Not an empire, not a species with ships and flags, a planetary organism, a vast distributed biosphere that reacted to invasion like an immune system. The predators, the fungus, the fog, the acid storms, none of them were separate hazards, they were responses. The deeper the Dominion mined, the smarter the planet became. Machines vanished, armies disappeared. Then the planet learned to mimic voices. It learned heat signatures, it learned how to corrode specific alloys, it learned Velkari biology. The Dominion barely escaped, so they sealed Charon 9 and erased the records. Until now. Mara stood over the data console, jaw tight. Why come back? Vale lay on a thermal blanket while Dr. Chen worked on her ruined neural ports. Because scans found a core under the southern basin, dense exotic matter, enough to power their war fleets for 1,000 years. Briggs swallowed. So they came back for fuel. They sent drones first, Vale said. The drones failed, then client species. They died, then cloned labor. The planet adapted. Elias felt cold that had nothing to do with the weather. So they used humans. Veyl's eyes met his. Deathworlders, high endurance, high pain tolerance, broad microbiome, strong immune response, tool use under stress. They believed human survival patterns would reveal how to move through the biosphere. Dr. Chen went still. They weren't executing us, she said. They were experimenting. Veyl nodded. There are sensors all over this valley. They wanted to watch how long you lasted, what killed you, what didn't, then send the data to Invasion Command. Mara's voice was flat. And Substation 7? Prisoners from earlier captures. They're alive, maybe 80, maybe less now. The Dominion placed them closer to the southern basin. Elias looked at the map. Substation 7 was 46 kilometers away across terrain marked in Dominion red. Extreme hazard, unstable ground, active fog, predator migration. A rational commander would fortify the crash site, preserve his people, and wait for a chance to signal Earth. A haunted brother would hear Daniel's voice again. Don't leave me. Mara watched him carefully. Captain. He knew what she was asking. Not with words. Can you make this decision clean? Can you separate duty from guilt? Elias looked at Veyl. How long before the Dominion returns? An extraction fleet is due in 3 local days to collect survival data. And after that, they begin full invasion drilling. Dr. Chen stood. If they breach that core, they may provoke a planetary response beyond anything in the archive. Meaning? Meaning the Dominion might not just die here. They could carry spores, adaptive organisms, or biochemical weapons off-world. Karen 9 has been learning for centuries. If it gets ships, she did not finish. No one needed her to. Elias looked at the map again. The crash site, Substation 7, the southern basin. The orbital fleet due in 3 days. He made the choice. We rescue the prisoners, we take the Dominion sensors, we feed them bad data, then we turn this planet against the invasion force. Briggs stared. Captain, with respect, that sounds like the kind of plan people describe later with a memorial plaque. Mara smiled thinly. Then don't die. Plaques are expensive. They returned to the crash site with Veyl on a stretcher, 3 captured rifles, sealed food packs, corrosion foam, and the truth. Elias told the survivors everything, not all at once. Not with speeches about destiny. He stood in the broken cargo bay as rain hammered the hull, and he told them they had been used. He told them other humans were alive. He told them the Dominion was coming back. Then he waited. Anger moved through the room like fire finding dry grass. A mechanic named Evelyn Ross slammed a wrench into the wall hard enough to dent it. They watched us die? Yes. They watched my husband freeze while they took notes. Elias held her gaze. Yes. She wiped her face with a greasy sleeve. Then give me something to break. That became the mood of the camp. Grief hardened into labor. The wreck was no longer a shelter. It became Fort Daniel. Elias did not name it. Briggs painted the words on a cargo plate while Elias was asleep. When Elias saw it, he stood in the rain for a long time. Mara came beside him. I can make him paint over it. No? You sure? Elias touched the edge of the lettering. No. They worked for 2 days. Humans did what humans had always done in places that wanted them dead. They adapted. Dr. Chen discovered that the predator glands, properly dried, repelled the carnivorous fog. The cook learned to render fat from the creatures into foul-smelling fuel. Engineers used Dominion corrosion foam to seal suit joints. Mechanics built pressure mines from landing thrusters and broken oxygen tanks. Mara trained civilians to shoot. Briggs got the long-range transmitter working by replacing 3 alien control crystals with copper wire, a belt buckle, and profanity. Lieutenant Veyl, too weak to stand, became their intelligence officer. She lay on a cot under thermal blankets, reading Dominion archives and tracing sensor patterns with her remaining hand. The planet kept attacking. Fungal swarms came on the second night, glowing blue in the dark, eating through exposed metal until Dr. Chen ordered everyone to flood the outer deck with alkaline coolant. A herd of armored grazers stampeded through the valley on the third dawn, pursued by something beneath the ground that moved like a submarine under soil. The acid rain became needle hail for 6 brutal hours, punching holes in patched suits and sending 11 people to the med bay with burns. Each time, someone died. Each time, the survivors learned. And each time, the Dominion sensors watched. So Elias fed them a lie. He staged weakness, false panic calls, fake casualty reports, heat signatures clustered in vulnerable zones, radio chatter about failing morale and contaminated water. Meanwhile, scouting teams moved under fog gland cover through ravines the sensors marked impassable. On the morning of the rescue mission, Mara found Elias checking his rifle near the breach. You haven't slept, neither of you. I'm mean enough to function without it. He loaded a magazine. She leaned closer. Elias. He paused. Mara almost never used his first name. You are not going to save Daniel out there. His jaw tightened.
I know. Do you?
He looked at her then. For years, Elias had carried the same image. His brother trapped under burning metal, the comm line open, Elias crawling through mud, artillery walking closer, orders screaming in his ear. Withdraw, withdraw, withdraw. He had obeyed. He had lived. Daniel had not. I know he's dead, Elias said quietly. I know those prisoners aren't him. Mara waited. But I also know what it feels like to call for help and hear someone say they can't come. I won't be that voice again unless there is no other choice. Mara nodded once. Then make sure it's duty driving, not ghosts. They left at red dawn. 42 humans moved through the valley in patched suits and scavenged armor. Elias led. Mara ranged ahead. Briggs carried the transmitter pack. Dr. Chen came despite protests, arguing that rescuing half-dead prisoners without a doctor was just delayed murder. The march to Substation 7 was a slow descent into nightmare. They crossed a field of glass reeds that chimed when touched. The sound drew winged things from the clouds, translucent and razor-boned. The humans froze for 9 minutes as the flock passed overhead, close enough for Elias to see human teeth embedded in one creature's throat from some earlier victim who had not died quietly. They crawled through a ravine filled with warm mist that whispered in familiar voices. Briggs heard his mother calling him from the fog. A corporal heard his child laughing. Elias heard Daniel.
Eli, help me!
His boots stopped. Mara grabbed his arm before he stepped off the marked path. Her voice snapped through the comm.
Not him!
The fog thickened. Daniel's voice came again, soft and pained.
Eli, please.
Elias's breathing shook.
I know,
he whispered. Mara's grip tightened.
Say it.
He closed his eyes.
My brother is dead.
The fog whispered in Daniel's voice. Liar. Elias opened his eyes and kept walking. By dusk, they reached Substation 7. It stood in a crater of black mud, half-sunken, surrounded by Dominion sensor pylons and automated turrets. Beyond it, the southern basin opened like a wound in the planet. Red vapor rose from fissures in the ground. Lightning crawled upward from the rocks into the clouds. Substation 7 had not been built to keep prisoners in. It had been built to keep the planet out. The outer walls were scarred by claw marks. Some were 3 meters deep. Mara surveyed the turrets from a ridge. 8 guns, motion-linked, heat-linked, Dominion codes. Vale's voice crackled through the transmitter from Fort Daniel. I can spoof the first gate for 12 seconds if Briggs can hold alignment. Briggs lowered the antenna pack. I love plans measured in seconds. Dr. Chen pointed toward the mud field. Do not step there. Elias followed her gaze. The mud rippled. Not water. Membrane. The ground is alive, she said. Mara exhaled. Of course it is. The attack began with a scream. Not human, not alien, electronic. Briggs triggered the spoofed signal, and every turret on the west wall rotated away at once. Go! Elias shouted. They ran. Heavy gravity dragged at their legs. Acid mist burned their gloves. The ground trembled under their boots as if something beneath it noticed the rhythm. A turret snapped back early. It fired. The first shot cut a man named Harlan in half. The second hit Evelyn Ross in the chest plate and threw her into the mud. She did not sink. She reached up, screaming, and jammed a pressure mine against the turret base. Mara! Mara shot the mine. The explosion tore the turret apart. Evelyn rolled out of the mud with armor smoking and one arm hanging wrong.
I said,
she gasped.
Give me something to break.
They breached the gate. Inside Substation 7, the air was hot and foul. Emergency lights flickered. Human prisoners lay in stacked cages, thin as skeletons wrapped in thermal foil. Some flinched when Elias entered. Some stared without understanding. A boy no older than 19 gripped the bars of one cage. Are you real? Elias cut the lock. Real enough. Can you walk? The boy nodded, then collapsed when he tried. Dr. Chen moved fast. Triage here. Anyone ambulatory helps carry the rest. Move. They found 63 survivors. Not 80. Not even close. In the central chamber, Elias found the reason. A Dominion commander in white armor stood beside a bank of biological monitors. 3 Velkari soldiers flanked him. Behind them, tubes ran down through the floor into the living ground beneath the station. The commander turned calmly. Captain Ward, your performance has exceeded projections. Elias raised his rifle. The commander did not move. I am Research Marshal Saal. I requested your deployment personally. Mara entered behind Elias, weapon up. Saal's gills fluttered. You are remarkable creatures. painfully limited in abstract intelligence, but astonishing under environmental pressure. You solve problems with injury. You convert trauma into aggression. You continue after rational collapse. "Shut up," Mara said. Saal looked amused. "Do you know what we learned from your little fortress? The planet does not adapt well to humans, not quickly. Your biochemistry is too chaotic. Your microbial companions confuse its filters. Your stress hormones mimic predator triggers. You are not immune, but you are disruptive." Dr. Chen's voice cut in over comms. "Captain, we need to move. The station's lower systems are unstable." Saal spread two hands. "Yes, because your arrival completed the final trial. We now know how to shield Dominion troops for basin entry." Elias's blood went cold. "The invasion force is already here," he said. Saal's mouth opened in a smile. "Descending as we speak." Above them, the ceiling trembled. Not from thunder, from engines. Briggs's voice crackled through comms. "Captain, orbital signatures just multiplied. I count carriers, big ones. They're landing north of the basin." Veyr cut in from Fort Daniel, weak but urgent. He lied about the timeline. "Elias, they're not coming for data. They're coming now." Saal stepped backward toward a sealed lift. "You may still serve the Dominion, Captain. Die loudly. Teach us more." Elias fired. Saal's shield flared blue. The Velkari soldiers returned fire. The chamber became light and noise. Mara dragged Elias behind a console as energy bolts ripped through monitors. Steam burst from broken pipes. Prisoners screamed in the corridors. Elias rolled out and shot one soldier in the knee joint. Mara finished him. Another Velkari lunged forward with a blade. Elias caught the strike on his rifle, felt the stock crack, and drove his helmet into the alien's faceplate. The third soldier shot Mara. She fell hard. "Mara!" Her armor smoked at the side. She gritted her teeth. "Still mean." Saal reached the lift. Elias rose to fire. Then the floor split open. A tendril as thick as a tree trunk erupted through the metal, wrapped around Saal's shield, and dragged him screaming halfway into the floor. For the first time, the Velkari marshal looked afraid. His translator shrieked, "Help me!" Elias stared at him. Saal reached one hand toward the human captain, the same hand that had signed death orders, the same mind that had watched them freeze and bleed for research. Mara's voice came strained behind him. "Captain, prisoners." Elias lowered his rifle. Saal screamed once more as the planet pulled him under. The humans ran. They carried the prisoners out under a sky full of Dominion fire. The invasion had begun. Carriers descended beyond the basin, vast black wedges lit by blue engines. Thousands of armored Dominion troops poured from landing ramps onto ground that steamed beneath their boots. Shield crawlers advanced toward the red fissures. Drilling towers unfolded like skeletal giants. For one terrible moment, Elias understood the scale of the enemy. His 42 rescuers, 100 survivors back at Fort Daniel, 63 half-dead prisoners. Against an empire, Briggs stood beside him on the ridge, face gray. "Captain," he said, "we can't beat that." Elias watched the first drilling tower fire anchors into the living crust. The ground shuddered. Far away, something beneath the basin answered. Not a roar. A vibration so deep it passed through boots and bone and memory. Dr. Chen looked at her scanner, then at Elias. If they drill any deeper, the biosphere response could breach containment. It may launch spores into their ships. If those ships leave, Earth, Elias said, and every colony in their path. Mara leaned against Evelyn Ross, one side of her armor burned black. "So we stopped the drilling." Briggs laughed weakly. "Sure, we'll just ask the Empire to pause while we sabotage their giant death machines." Elias looked at the Dominion lines, then at the sensor pylons, then at the fog rolling along the basin edge. The planet had learned Velkari biology. It had not learned humans yet, but it was trying. Maybe that was not only a threat, maybe it was a weapon. "Doctor," he said, "you said humans confuse the planet's filters." "Yes. Can we make it notice the Dominion more?" Dr. Chen stared at him. Slowly, understanding dawned. The predator glands, the stress hormones, blood, heat, their shield frequency. If we broadcast the right pattern through the sensor network, Veyl's voice came over comms from Fort Daniel. You could mark the Dominion as the invasive organism. Briggs looked horrified. "We're going to tell the murder planet where to bite?" Elias watched the drilling tower sink another anchor into the crust. "Yes." Briggs swallowed. "Okay. That's terrifyingly human. The plan cost them 12 more lives before it even began. They had to split." Mara led the freed prisoners back toward Fort Daniel with Dr. Chen and the wounded. Briggs stayed with Elias to reach the central Dominion sensor mast above the basin. Evelyn Ross came because her husband had died under Dominion observation and because no one could tell her no. 6 volunteers joined them. They moved through battlefield chaos while the Dominion fought the planet without understanding it had not truly begun fighting yet. Alien infantry fired into fog banks. Things screamed inside the mist. Shield crawlers vanished into sinkholes that opened beneath them and closed like mouths. Fungal blooms burst across armor, eating through seals. The Dominion advanced anyway, disciplined and arrogant, burning paths with plasma and sonic cannons. They were powerful. They were organized. They were doomed if the humans could finish the job. The central sensor mass rose from a ridge overlooking the basin. It was guarded by a full platoon of Velkhari troops and 2 heavy gun drones. Elias had 9 people, 3 rifles, 2 mines, 1 broken transmitter, and a planet trying to kill everyone equally. He crouched behind a rock as gun drone beams swept the ridge. Suggestions? Evelyn flexed her one good arm. I can rig the mines to blow the west support. Mara's voice came through comms, faint with distance. You blow that support, the mast falls. Not if Briggs locks the east stabilizers, Elias said. Briggs stared. I'm sorry, when did I become the man who locks alien stabilizers under fire? When you fixed a transmitter with a belt buckle. That was a private miracle. Elias gripped his shoulder. Do it again. The first phase worked. Evelyn crawled through acid runoff and placed the mines under the west support. Briggs reached the control junction and began tearing open panels with shaking hands. The second phase collapsed immediately. A Velkhari patrol spotted them. Contact, someone shouted. The ridge erupted in gunfire. Elias shot 2 soldiers before his rifle overheated. A gun drone rotated toward Briggs. Evelyn threw herself into its targeting path, firing a stolen pistol and cursing loud enough to cut through comm static. The drone shot her through the abdomen. She fell. But she fell beside the mine trigger. Elias saw her hand close around it. Evelyn, wait! Her voice came through the channel, ragged. My husband's name was Mark. I know. They wrote him down as environmental failure. The drone aimed at Briggs. Evelyn smiled through blood. Correct the report. She pressed the trigger. The west support exploded. The mast groaned but did not fall. Briggs screamed from the junction box. Stabilizers locked! Stabilizers locked! I'm never doing this again! Elias ran for the mast base. A Velkhari officer stepped into his path, blade drawn. They collided hard. The alien was stronger than he looked. 4 arms pinned Elias against the metal frame. The blade drove toward Elias's throat, centimeter by centimeter. Elias smelled his own suit seal burning. He slammed his knee into the Velkhari's leg joint. Once. Twice. The joint bent backward. The alien shrieked. Elias pulled a broken shard of glass reed from his belt and drove it into the officer's gill slit. The alien dropped. Elias staggered to the control port. Vale, I'm here, she answered. Talk me through it. Her voice was weak. Connect Briggs's transmitter to the primary sensor feed. Chen's biochemical packet must run through the atmospheric sampling channel, then overload the Dominion shield registry. Briggs crawled up beside Elias, armor scorched. In English, Vale coughed. Make the tower smell human fear, human blood, and Velkhari shields at the same time. Briggs looked at Elias. That is the worst sentence I've ever understood. They connected the transmitter. Dr. Chen's prepared sample pulsed into the system from a cracked vial, human blood, predator gland extract, Velkhari tissue residue, stress hormones harvested from med sensors, and shield frequency data stolen from Sales Station. The mast hummed. For a moment, nothing happened. The Dominion drilling towers continued. The carriers hovered. The basin glowed brighter. Then the fog stopped moving. All across the battlefield, mist hung motionless in the air. Predators froze with their heads raised. Fungal mats retracted from human trails and turned toward the basin. The ground beneath Elias's boots pulsed once, like a heartbeat. Briggs whispered, Captain, the planet noticed. The first Dominion carrier died from below. A column of black tendrils erupted from the basin and punched through its belly. The ship's shields flared, collapsed, and were swallowed under a tide of climbing organisms. Engines screamed. The carrier tilted, crashed into the ridge, and burst into blue flame. The Dominion line faltered. Then Charon 9 went to war. The ground opened beneath drilling towers. Acid rain intensified into a white curtain that avoided the human-marked ravines and hammered Dominion armor like divine artillery. Fog rolled in tight spears, flooding shield crawlers through ventilation ports. Predators charged, not at random, but in waves, driving soldiers toward sinkholes. The planet had been a hostile environment. Now it was a strategist, and it hated the Dominion. Elias watched in awe and terror. "We need to move," Briggs said. "We have very successfully angered the continent." They began retreating from the mast. Then Veyr screamed over comms. "Elias, one carrier is lifting off!" He turned. Through smoke and lightning, a Dominion command carrier rose from the northern basin. Its hull was scarred, dripping organic matter, but its engines burned steady. If it reached orbit, it could carry Karen spores away. It could carry warning. It could bring a sterilization fleet. Briggs stared at the climbing ship. "We don't have anything that can reach that." Elias looked at the sensor mast. Still humming. Still connected to the Dominion network. A thought formed. Ugly. Simple. Human. The mast can transmit to the carrier. Briggs shook his head. "A signal won't stop a warship." "No. But the station archive said the planet mimics voices, heat, patterns. Captain? If we give it a direct path into the carrier's biological filters." Briggs understood. His face went pale. "You want to invite the planet on board. The carrier's sampling arrays are open. They're taking atmospheric readings for contamination. And if we overload the mast, it becomes a beacon." Briggs looked at the mast, then the battlefield. "What's the catch?" Elias did not answer. He did not have to. The overload had to be triggered manually from the upper relay cage 20 meters up the mast because the lower controls had fused. The structure was already bending. Acid rain cut through the air. Dominion soldiers were regrouping below. Mara's voice came through comms, sharp and afraid. "Elias, don't!" He closed his eyes. For a moment, he heard Daniel again. Not the fog's imitation, not the broken battlefield memory. His brother as he had been before the war, laughing beside an old truck in the rain back in Montana. "You always think you have to carry it alone." Elias opened his eyes. He handed Briggs his command tag. "Get back to Fort Daniel." Briggs refused to take it. "No. That's an order. No, sir." Elias stared at him. Briggs's voice shook, but he stood his ground. "You told us we don't leave people calling for help. That includes you." "There's no time. Then climb faster." Mara's voice returned. "Captain, listen to the kid." Elias looked at the mast, then at Briggs. Something inside him shifted. For years, his wound had worn the mask of duty. Save them all, carry the dead, pay the debt, never leave anyone behind, even if it meant becoming another corpse. But survival was not cowardice. Trust was not weakness. And command did not mean dying first, so no one could accuse you of running. Elias grabbed the second safety line and clipped it to Briggs's harness. "We go together." Briggs swallowed hard. "I hate that better." They climbed. The mast swayed under them as the planet tore the Dominion army apart below. Wind slammed Elias against the rungs. Acid burned through his outer gloves. Twice, Briggs slipped, and Elias hauled him back. Once, Elias's injured knee buckled so badly he nearly blacked out. Halfway up, a Velkari soldier climbed after them. Mara shot him from the ridge with a captured rifle. "Keep moving," she barked. They reached the upper relay cage as the command carrier broke through the lower cloud deck. Briggs tore open the panel. Sparks sprayed across his visor. "I can route the signal, but the overload will fry the cage." "How long a delay?" "Maybe 10 seconds. Make it 20. I said maybe 10. Then be better." Briggs barked a terrified laugh and worked faster. Elias patched Veyr through, charted the carrier intake. Veyl's voice was barely audible. "I have it. Elias, the planet is responding through the mast. I can see pattern traffic." "What kind of pattern?" A pause. Then Veyr whispered, "It's listening." The mast vibrated beneath his hands. Not mechanical, alive. For one strange second, Elias felt a tension move across him. Vast, cold, curious. Charon 9 did not speak in words, but Elias understood the shape of the question. "Enemy?" He looked at the carrier rising toward orbit. He looked at the human survivors moving through marked ravines below. He thought of Earth, of oceans and storms and wolves in the dark, of cities rebuilt after fire, of soldiers carrying strangers through mud, of Daniel. Elias placed his bleeding hand against the sensor plate. "Yes," he said, "that one." Briggs slammed the final connector into place. Delay said, "I think. Climb down now." They dropped. Not climbed. Dropped. Sliding down the outer frame as the relay cage above them filled with white light. 10 seconds became 8. 8 became 4. Elias hit a warped rung and lost his grip. For one silent moment, he fell. Briggs caught his harness. The younger man screamed with effort. Boots braced against the mast. "I got you!" Elias slammed into the frame, ribs exploding with pain. Above them, the relay detonated. The signal lanced upward. Invisible. Precise. Human-made. Karen-fed. It struck the command carrier as the ship entered the clouds. For a moment, nothing happened. Then every intake along the carrier's underside opened at once, petals of metal blooming as if commanded by a trusted Dominion code. The fog entered, not as vapor, as purpose. The carrier's lights flickered, its engines coughed, it turned sideways, struggling for altitude. Organic growth spread across its hull in branching veins. Escape pods fired, but the acid storm caught them. The carrier's shields flared from within, blue light strobing through cracks. Then the ship split open. It did not explode. It blossomed. Black tendrils burst from the seams, wrapped around the hull, and pulled it down into the storm. The sound reached them seconds later. A deep, metallic death cry that rolled across Charon 9 and faded into thunder. The Dominion invasion ended before nightfall, not cleanly, not mercifully. A few shuttles escaped the surface, only to be intercepted by their own quarantine protocols when Veyr transmitted the stolen archives to every listening channel in orbit. Dominion captains, terrified of contamination, fired on each other. The carriers that remained tried to burn the planet from above. Charon 9 answered with electromagnetic storms that climbed into low orbit and tore guidance systems apart. 2 ships collided. One drifted dead into the upper atmosphere and burned for 6 hours like a second sun. By dawn, the sky was empty. Fort Daniel still stood, barely. Its walls were scarred, its heat grid failing, its people exhausted beyond speech. But when Elias and Briggs limped through the breach, every survivor who could stand did. Mara was there, one arm in a sling, face pale. She looked at Elias, then at Briggs, holding him upright. About time. Briggs tried to salute and nearly fell over. Dr. Chen rushed in with a med kit. Elias waved her toward the worst wounded. She ignored him. "If you say you're fine, Captain, I will sedate you out of spite." He sat down. "Yes, Doctor." Lieutenant Veyr lay near the transmitter station. Her breathing was shallow, but her eyes were clear. "Signal went out," she said. "To Earth, to everyone." Elias leaned closer. "What did you send?" "The archives. Sales experiments, Dominion invasion plans, our survival data." Mara smiled without warmth. "That'll make the Empire popular." Veyl's mouth curved faintly. "I also sent a message in open galactic trade language." Briggs looked nervous. "What message?" Veyr glanced at Elias. "Earth is not under Dominion protection. Earth is under human protection." For 3 days, they waited for death. The Dominion might return with sterilization fleets, the planet might decide humans were also infection, the cold might finish what Empire and monsters had not. But Charon 9 changed, not kindly, never kindly. The rain still burned, the wind still cut. Predators still watched from the ridges. But the fog no longer entered Fort Daniel. Fungal blooms grew around the wreck in a wide ring, then hardened into a barrier like black coral. Pools of acidic water shifted course away from the camp. Once, when a wounded prisoner stumbled beyond the perimeter, a vibration predator emerged from the rocks, stared at him, and retreated. Dr. Chen refused to call it friendship. "That implies mammalian social bonding," she said. Briggs nodded solemnly. "The murder planet tolerates us. That is scientifically closer." On the 4th day, human ships arrived. Not many. Earth's navy was battered, scattered, and still fighting across occupied systems. But they came. 3 destroyers, 1 medical frigate, 1 old colony hauler with armor plates welded across its bow. They descended through the storm, guided by Briggs's transmitter and Veyl's codes. When the first human Marines stepped into Fort Daniel, hardened men wept. No one mocked them for it. Admiral Ruth Okonkwo came down personally from the destroyer Resolute. She was 62, iron-backed, with a voice like gravel over steel. She found Elias near the wreck's outer wall, watching red lightning crawl across the horizon. "Captain Ward." He saluted despite the bandages around his ribs. "Admiral." She returned it. Then she looked at the fort. The graves marked with etched metal tags. The wounded, the rescued prisoners. The hardened fungal walls surrounding the camp like a sleeping beast. "Hell of a report," she said. "It was a hell of a planet." "So I hear." Her expression softened slightly. "We received Veyl's transmission. So did the Veyr Republic, the Asterion Compact, and half the neutral trade leagues. The Dominion is denying everything." Elias looked at her. And then your planet-killing battlefield ate 3 of their carriers on public channels. Their denial lacks poetry. For the first time in days, Elias laughed. It hurt. He did it anyway. Okonkwo stepped closer. There's more. Dominion client species are revolting. They thought humans were livestock with rifles. Now they've seen what happens when an empire throws us into hell and locks the door. What happens? The Admiral looked across Fort Daniel. We build a door of our own, then kick it open. Evacuation took 2 days. Some survivors refused to leave until every grave marker had been recorded. Some took pieces of the wreck. Briggs took the broken belt buckle from the transmitter assembly and wore it on a cord around his neck. Mara stood at the loading ramp, staring back at the valley. Elias joined her. You'll miss it? I've had infections, I'll miss more. He smiled. After a moment, Mara said, You made the right call on the mast. Briggs made it. You listened, that counts. He watched the fog roll along the ridge, stopping just beyond the human perimeter. I spent years thinking Daniel died because I lived. Mara said nothing. The truth is worse, she looked at him. He died because war is cruel and I couldn't control it. That's not worse, she said quietly. That's just true. Elias nodded. The words did not heal the wound, but they cleaned it. Sometimes that was the first mercy. Dr. Chen approached with a sealed containment case. Inside, it rested a shard of hardened black fungal coral. Elias raised an eyebrow. Please tell me you're not bringing home a piece of the murder planet for study under maximum quarantine. Naomi. She sighed. It saved the camp perimeter. It ate a carrier. People can be complicated too. Briggs leaned from the ramp behind them. I vote we don't adopt the planet. A low vibration moved through the ground. Everyone froze. Across the valley, the black coral ring around Fort Daniel flexed. Slowly, shapes rose from it. Not tendrils, not claws. Structures. Thin spires of hardened fungus and stone arranged in rows. Elias walked toward them despite Mara's muttered warning. The spires stood where the humans had stored their dead, one for each body. On each spire, acid rain traced grooves in the surface. Not letters, not language, but pattern, memory perhaps, or imitation, or only biology responding to minerals in human remains. Dr. Chen's voice was soft. It marked them. Briggs removed his helmet. Is that good? No one answered. Elias stood before the spire that held Daniel's nameplate, taken from the fort wall and placed there by someone while he slept. Daniel Ward had never set foot on Karen 9, but Elias understood. The grave was not only for Daniel, it was for everyone he had carried, everyone he could not save, everyone he had. The planet rumbled beneath him. Enemy? It had asked. Elias looked at the spires. No, he whispered, not anymore. When the last shuttle lifted from Karen 9, the galaxy was already changing. The tribunal recording of Elias Ward in chains spread through pirate relays, trade beacons, and hacked Dominion channels. His final words to Admiral Veyr became legend. That's yours. Then came the battle footage. Humans marching through acid rain, humans rescuing prisoners from a living planet, humans turning a death world into an ally of circumstance. Humans bleeding, freezing, laughing, fighting, adapting, the same species the galaxy had mocked as primitive, too emotional, too violent, too stubborn, too fragile, too tied to mud and weather and home. Now every empire watched the footage and understood too late. Earth had never been weak because it was dangerous. Earth had made dangerous things normal. Its children grew up under lightning storms and called them weather. They crossed oceans that could swallow cities. They lived beside predators, volcanoes, disease, drought, and winter. They broke bones and came back stronger. They buried their dead and kept walking. The Dominion had looked at Earth and seen a backward death world. They had looked at humanity and seen useful animals. Then they threw humans into a worse hell. And hell learned from us. 6 months after Karen 9, the Velkari Dominion sued for limited armistice on 3 fronts. Not because Earth had the largest fleet. It did not. Not because humans had the most advanced weapons. They did not. But because every occupied world now had a new phrase painted on walls, carved into prison bunks, whispered over stolen radios. Fort Daniel stands. On mining moons, prisoners sabotaged reactors and vanished into maintenance shafts. On agricultural worlds, colonists poisoned Dominion fuel stores with crop bacteria. On frozen stations, mechanics vented entire barracks into vacuum and survived in emergency shelters built from scrap. Human tactics spread faster than fleets. So did human reputation. The Asterion Compact sent envoys, cautious and pale, asking whether Earth would consider mutual defense. The Veyr Republic offered shipyards. The Zalong merchant princes quietly removed human labor contracts from their ledgers and pretended they had never supported the Dominion at all. Admiral Veyr, the Velkari who had sentenced Elias to Charon 9, disappeared from public view. Rumor said he had been reassigned to a border post. Another rumor said he refused to enter any room where rain could be heard. Elias did not care. He stood months later on the deck of the Resolute, looking down at Earth. Blue oceans, white clouds, brown continents. A beautiful world trying to kill everything on it in 1,000 familiar ways. Mara stood beside him in a dress uniform she clearly hated. Briggs was there too, newly promoted, still wearing the belt-buckle charm under his collar. Dr. Chen argued with a quarantine board over a secure channel in the corner, using words sharp enough to cut hull plating. Lieutenant Vale, fitted with a new prosthetic arm, watched Earth with tears in her eyes. Elias looked at them all. Survivors, not untouched, not invincible, not clean heroes from recruitment posters. They carried burns, missing limbs, nightmares, guilt, and names etched into memory. But they were here. The comm panel chimed. Admiral Okonkwo's voice filled the deck. Captain Ward, incoming transmission from the Galactic Mediation Council. They are requesting your presence at the next session. Mara snorted. Another tribunal? Okonkwo sounded amused. Not exactly. This time they would like humanity to advise on Death World combat survival. Briggs laughed. Are they serious? Elias looked down at Earth. He thought of the tribunal chamber. The laughter, the sentence, the cold, the fog wearing Daniel's voice, Evelyn pressing the trigger. Briggs catching his fall, Mara telling him the truth, Quran 9 marking the dead. He keyed the comm. Tell them we'll come. Vale looked at him. And if they mock us again? Elias watched sunlight break over the curve of the planet. Then we teach them again. Far away, beyond mapped lanes and civilized stars, Charon 9 spun in its red storm silence. The Dominion quarantine buoys around it broadcast warnings in 12 languages. Lethal biosphere, restricted approach, planetary threat. But among human crews, the world had another name now. Not official, not scientific, spoken quietly before drops into hostile territory, carved on rifle stocks, painted inside helmets. Hell's Witness. Because Charon 9 had seen what the galaxy refused to believe. It had seen humans afraid, hungry, wounded, outnumbered, grieving. It had seen us fall. It had seen us get back up. And somewhere under its burning clouds, in a valley of black stone and acid rain, Fort Daniel's wreck still stood behind a wall of living coral. The wind screamed through torn metal. The rain smoked on old armor. Predators circled but did not enter. And the grave spires endured. One for every human the Dominion thought would vanish without consequence. One for every lesson the galaxy learned too late. Do not mock Earth. Do not mistake kindness for weakness. And never, ever send humans to hell unless you are prepared for them to take command of it. If you enjoyed this story, subscribe to Midnight Galaxy for more HFY tales from the darkest stars. Humanity is just getting started.